In this video, I'm going to talk about how Ethereum is going to become more scarce over time and how that could affect the price of Ether. It all has to do with a bunch of changes that are going to take place on Ethereum very soon. So I want to explain all this as a blockchain developer who works with the Ethereum protocol on a daily basis, offer you my perspective. Because these are fundamentals that you need to understand if you care about the Ethereum network and where it's headed. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step by step, then I can show you how to do that over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. And so last but not least, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy Ether. I just want to educate you on how the network works and what could possibly happen in the future. All right, so in order to understand how Ethereum is going to get more scarce over time, let's talk about how Ethereum works right now. So Ethereum has an inflationary mechanism built into it, which basically means that new Ether is created every single day on the blockchain, which means that the total supply goes up over time. So this has to do with Ethereum's consensus mechanism called proof of work, which basically means that anytime that a new transaction is created on the Ethereum network, a new Ether is mined during this process, okay? So this is very similar to how Bitcoin works. So basically, like, let's say I send Ether from, me to you. Anytime that happens, that transaction is included on the ledger, and the miners that participate in running the network are rewarded for including that new transaction by gaining some Ethereum. They receive an Ether reward for processing that transaction, okay? And whenever this happens, new Ether is created in the process. So this is going to have some effect on the price of Ether. It's just basic supply and demand economics. So if the supply is always increasing, all right, and the demand, say it doesn't increase at all, then the price is going to go down. And conversely, if the demand stays the same and the supply decreases, then the price would go up. But in reality, what we're looking at in a lot of these cases where the Ethereum price is actually increasing while the supply is increasing is that the demand is actually outpacing the increase of supply. So the rate of issuance is lower than the rate of demand increase. But we're about to see some changes where this supply is not necessarily going to increase as fast. Less Ether is going to get produced on a daily basis. And so if the demand for Ether continues to increase at the same rate that it is right now, then that'll probably have a positive impact on price. So what factors are going to cause this? Why will Ethereum become more scarce? Because this is definitely what you need to understand about this whole process, okay? So there's two major factors that I want to talk about. All right, so the first one is EIP 1559. The other one is Ethereum 2.0 and staking rewards. So first, let's talk about EIP 1559. So what is that? Well, basically, it's an Ethereum improvement proposal, which basically is just something that the community has put together to say, hey, we think this should change about Ethereum, and then it goes through, a lot of ceremony to get included in the network. So basically the whole idea is this, you can read it. It says a transaction pricing mechanism that includes fixed per block network fee that is burned and dynamically expands, contracts, block sizes, deal with transient congestion. So the first part is the key thing to understand when you're talking about scarcity. So basically this means that a certain amount of Ethereum is going to just get burned and destroyed anytime, a block is mined. So let's talk about how that works. Let's go back to the example where, I send some cryptocurrency to you. So from me to you. So whenever that happens, we're creating a transaction on the network, all right? And let's say I send you, 1 Ether. Well, in addition to that, 1 Ether, I have to pay a small fee. So EIP 1559 proposes that part of that fee gets burnt or basically destroyed and sent to the network. And that becomes like a network reward. So basically anybody who holds Ether benefits from that because that scarcity, increases. So instead of just, miners getting rich off of transactions, then ETH holders also get some sort of benefit as well. So the other big factor that's going to affect ETH scarcity is Ethereum 2.0. Okay. This is the big transition from Ethereum 1.0, which is the current version, to Ethereum 2.0, where it's going to get Ethereum ready for prime time. Okay. It's going to be really fast, scalable. And this is where Ethereum is going to transition from proof of work to proof of stake. Okay, so that basically means that Ethereum won't have miners anymore. Instead, the miners are going to get replaced by validators, okay? Which means that in order to produce new blocks on the blockchain, then validators have to stake their Ether, their cryptocurrency, to the network in order to process these transactions. And instead of getting mining rewards, they'll get staking rewards. So they'll earn passive income for doing this, and they'll help preserve the security of the network. And so when ETH 2.0 goes online and staking goes live, then issuance is going to go down. So you can see the quote here from Vitalik Buterin himself. He says, one of the reasons we're doing proof of stake is because we want to greatly reduce the issuance. So in the spec spec for ETH 2.0, I think we've put out a calculation that the theoretical maximum issuance would be something like 2 million a year if literally everyone participates. So that means it's probably going to be less than that, okay? So 2 million per year is the maximum. That's literally if everyone who holds ETH becomes a validator and stakes it to the network, then the issuance would be 2 million a year. But if less people do it, then less ETH will be issued because less people will be validating and less people will earn those rewards. And so here you can see a chart of all the ETH issuance that's happened over the past few years and some projections for this year, 2020, and also the next few years to come. Okay. So you can see like in 2015, the first year was about, 4 million or so, 11 million, 9 million, 7 million, almost 5 million. So the estimate for 2020 is 4 million. And then you can see it drastically drop off, right? So it goes from 4 million to that, 2 million theoretical max if everyone stakes. And then it will probably be way less than that. I mean, for lots of reasons. I mean, you need 32 Ether in order to stake. And if the ETH price keeps going up like crazy, then hardly anybody is going to be able to afford that. And of course, there's staking pools, things like that. But either way, there'll be a big barrier of entry and just not everyone will want to do it in the first place. So in addition to the supply and demand, you can also think about this in terms of stock to flow, which is a really popular way of analyzing, scarce assets like gold, silver, et cetera, et cetera. People do it with Bitcoin, and we can also think about Ethereum this way too. Okay. So let me just show you what that means. So basically, stock to flow is the existing stock, basically the total amount that exists right now, divided by the flow, or the amount of new stock that's produced every single year. So basically, you took Ether's total supply and divided it by its annual issuance. That will be the stock to flow ratio. You can see that back here on this chart that I showed you a minute ago. They actually map out the stock to flow ratio. So you can see in these final years, like as the issuance drops off like crazy, then this number increases quite a bit because the denominator in that equation increases. And that means that the ratio goes up. So stock to flow has become a really popular model for analyzing cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, for example. So Plan B has the famous stock to flow model that kind of charts the Bitcoin price over time and maps it out against the Bitcoin stock to flow. And so he talks about this a lot, the Bitcoin halvings, and people use this to try to kind of get an idea of where the Bitcoin price is going to head in the future. So you can take those stock to flow numbers and put them on a graph a lot like the Plan B model for Ethereum's issuance. And that's exactly what Alex Saunders has done. It's the guy that runs Nuggets News. So if you haven't checked out his channel, I'd definitely recommend that. He's got a lot of good insights into this stuff. But he basically took Plan B's chart and overlaid, Ethereum's stock to flow. So you can see the white dot is where it is now, and the black dot is where it will probably be in a few years. All right. So his whole thesis there is that, that makes ETH a harder money, that the increase in scarcity is a good thing, that the issuance going down is a good thing, all that kind of stuff. And so if Ethereum's stock to flow ratio goes up, that number increases, then that means that this rate of supply, it'll slow down quite a bit. Okay. And if the demand stays the same or increases, then that will likely have a very positive impact on the price. Again, this is not financial advice. There's still a lot of variables and factors here. We have to assume that EIP 1559 will actually get adopted and included into the network, and that Ethereum 2.0 will actually fully roll out within the next few years, and that we'll see proof of stake go online. So this is not financial advice. It's all dependent on those things actually happening. But me personally, I have a very optimistic view on this. We've seen an explosion of activity in the DeFi space lately, and almost all of that activity is happening on the Ethereum network right now. So, if that keeps up, then that's going to create more demand for Ethereum. And if we see more sophisticated DeFi financial applications, that's going to create more demand for Ethereum. And, if it really does become, a world computer that powers the future of Web 3.0, then that's definitely going to increase the demand for ETH. So those are huge factors. And also people, racing to accumulate 32 Ether so they can stake whenever Ethereum 2.0 goes online. All right, so that's all I've got. So that's how Ethereum is going to become more scarce over time and how that will likely have an impact on the price. So again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy ETH. I'm just offering my perspective as a blockchain developer. So make sure you smash the like button down below, subscribe to this channel so you can see more videos like this whenever they come out. And so if you're interested in Ethereum, you're investing in it for the long term, you might be able to make some good money doing that. I personally invest in it myself, but that's because I work with the technology every single day as a developer. And honestly, becoming a developer is one of the best ways to make money with blockchain over the long term, because you can solve your cash flow problem by developing a high income skill that you can use, really for the rest of your life. And the demand for blockchain developers is huge right now. So if you want to jump on that trend, then how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage and find any of my free courses listed there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those, and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, then I can show you how to master blockchain step by step from start to finish, show you how to build a real world application, so you can, land a high paying job, become a freelancer, do whatever. Just head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.